Free them
And
all.
we're saying,
Free 'em all.
Mumia
Live
Abu
and direct.
Jamaat,
Make use to take
Oscar
these.
Grant,
Free 'em all. And positive energy is everything to us. So again, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you.
Thank you.
So justice for Tyree. You guys see it here. We with the Nichols family and all the others that out here fighting for justice for all. Your girl Hollywood Next in the building, bringing you guys yet another one. So we is about to get into this Rolling Stones reading. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen with y'all. Before I do that, let me get my disclaimer up here. My copyright disclaimer. It should be ticking at the bottom of the screen. We gonna see what they got. What's the buzz about? What is everybody talking about? What is going on in this Rolling Stones article? Okay, so let me pull this here up on my screen. Right. And hopefully you guys is having a great Thursday, because I am. If you guys have not hit that like button, go ahead and hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribers button. Turn that post bell notification on and select all, because you don't want to miss us when we come back and bring you guys yet another one. All right, so here is the buzz that everybody is talking about. So let's get into some commentary. Oh, words are slurring off my tongue today. All right, so Bad Boy for Life, Sean Combs' history of violence. Okay, for decades, Sean Diddy Combs was hip hop's boisterous showman. Now, dozens of former friends, employees, and Bad Boy artists allege an abusive, menacing figure behind the facade. She took the stage at the BET Awards in June 2022, received a Lifetime Achievement Award. Sean Diddy Combs was elated, y'all. Yeah. He bellowed, punctuated his words with triumphant jumps. The adoring crowd who gave him a sustained standing ovation, including his mother and children, longtime friends and music industry peers Kanye West, Janelle Monáe, Babyface, and Lil Wayne. After 3 decades of relentless hustling that took him from hungry teenage intern to A&R executive producer, label impresario, uh, respected fashion designer and household brand name, Diddy had seemingly reached the apotheosis of his career. He closed his eyes and repeatedly thanked God. He got down on one knee and praised his mother. He name checked a laundry list of people who mentored and inspired him. Anything I do is through love, Combs proclaimed early in a 9-minute speech. That's what I evolved to be, and that's what I'm doing right now. But soon, Combs struck a more somber tone. I was in a dark place for a few years, he said. I gotta give a special thank you to the people that was really there for me. He listed friends and adversaries. Then, looking directly into the camera, he added, Cassie, for holding me down in the dark times. Love. He raised one hand to make an L sign, and he held his gaze steady silently for several seconds. Combs and Cassandra Cassie Ventura, a former singer for his iconic Bad Boy record label, had split for years earlier, but he had been openly penning for her ever since. He posted photos of her online and urged her to listen to Michael Jackson's The Lady in My Life. He publicly congratulated her on her first pregnancy with her husband. His comments at the award shows were part of a pattern of behavior, one that had been tormenting Ventura for years. When she learned of her ex's latest remarks, source says Ventura was distressed. She was also resolute. Almost 18 months later, wait, I gotta go back and read something. Hold on, y'all. Because he said Combs and Cassandra Cassie Ventura, a former singer for his iconic Bad Boy record label, had split for years earlier, but he had been openly penning for her ever since. Oh, okay. So he had been openly penning for her, like penning her comments or posting her photos and stuff like that. This is what they're saying. He posted photos of her online and urged her to listen to Michael Jackson's The Lady in My Life. He publicly congratulated her on her first pregnancy with her husband. So he been trying to like butter her up, get close to her, you know what I'm saying, trying to wheel her back with all these congratulations and pinnings and things like that. So he been was doing this. He congratulated on her pregnancy, her wedding, to her and her husband and everything. So his comments at the award shows was part of a pattern of behavior. So yeah, this is Rolling Stones, and this is just the first part of it, has done a tremendous job with the breakdown and the history following this investigation surrounding Sean Combs. Okay, were part of a pattern of behavior. One of that had been tormenting Ventura for years. When she learned of her ex's latest remarks, sources says Ventura was distressed. She was also resolute. So when she learned of her ex's latest remarks, okay, so it was the remarks, okay, that sounds like what really distressed her. It annoyed her to the point where she knew there was no resolution to this. Okay, so she was also resolute, meaning out of touch with this. Almost 18 months later, in November 2023, Ventura sued Combs, claiming he held her in a violent form of sexual servitude throughout their relationship and awed her upon their final breakup. Okay, so when she was letting go and was totally through with him, then he did this to her in 2018. She invoked Combs' BET speech in her filings for Mrs. Ventura, The Dark Times, where those she spent trapped by Mr. Combs in a cycle of abuse, violence, and trafficking. She said Combs' brutal beatings, one of them captured in harrowing hotel surveillance video obtained by CNN in May, left her with bruises, burst lips, black eyes, and extensive trauma. For Grammy-winning songwriter Tiffany Red, a friend of Ventura's who worked closely with the singer during the height of the alleged abuse, Combs' words from the BET stage had been a taunt. So basically, he was taunting her is the way she felt. And I would have too. You sitting here talking about thank you for holding me down during those dark times, knowing what those dark times consisted of. Yeah, he was antagonizing her, taunting her. Absolutely. Okay? Leave her the F alone. Okay? So, wait. I missed something. He taunted her. It's like harassment, she explains. You're still effing with her. Leave her alone. Leave her the F alone. In the 5 years after her breakup with Combs, Ventura remained silent. While he was posting about her pregnancy in 2019, like, oh yeah, he really was irritating her. She was negotiating in distress behind the scenes to escape her bad boy contract, Red says. Despite Ventura singing a 10-album deal in 2006, Bad Boy only released one studio album by her. Combs was allegedly trying to tie her separations agreement to a non-disbarment clause. It's not like we were negotiating with just her record label, Red says. We were negotiating with her abuser through her lawyer. Ventura declined to speak for this article. Combs did not respond to a request for comment on this allegation. Okay? At some point, Ventura checked herself into a rehabilitation center to deal with the physical and psychological repercussions of her time with Combs and found renewed purpose in being a mom, her lawsuit says. When she eventually gathered her strength and stepped forward, a flurry of other lawsuits followed. 5 more women have since accused Combs of R or violent S assault dating as far back as 1990. 2 of whom claimed that Combs secretly recorded their S encounters and showed the footage to others without their consent. Music producer Rodney Little Rod Jones also sued, alleging Combs groped his genitals and forced him to solicit S workers and performed S acts to the pleasure of Mr. Combs. While Combs would eventually take responsibility for the assault captured on surveillance video, he has vehemently denied all the other allegations against him, and I don't see how he can. The day Ventura filed her complaint, he blasted it as shakedown based on outrageous lies. For the past 6 months, Mr. Combs has been subjected to Mrs. Ventura's persistent demand of $30 million under the threat of writing a damaging book about their relationship, which was unequivocally rejected as blatant blackmail. His lawyer, Ben Braifman, said in response. Ventura's lawyer, Douglas Wigder, said Combs offered Mrs. Ventura 8 figures to silence her and prevent the filing of this lawsuit. The parties came to an undisclosed settlement with 24 hours of Ventura's filings. When his 4th R accuser sued in December, Combs, 54 years old, issued another passionate denial. Enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I have sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation, and my legacy. Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me absolutely be clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for the truth. For many, the lurid allegations against Combs were jarring, in part because he had risen to such great heights as a bankable bon vivant who threw the best parties from New York City to the Hamptons to Hollywood. He's the pop culture stalwart who walked under a parasol held by his company valet Farnsworth Bentley in St. Tropez and turned up at a Met Gala. Turned up at a Met Gala in a Swarovski crystal encrusted tuxedo and floor-length cape. He rapped about Bentleys and Benjamins and held court at his over-the-top annual white parties attended by Leonardo DiCaprio, Beyonce, Mariah Carey, Martha Stewart. He called himself the Great Gatsby and considered circus showman P.T. Barnum his muse. Now, the spotlight Combs constantly chased is trained on his alleged crimes. In staggering scenes that underscored his fall from grace, heavily armed Homeland Security agents stormed his sprawling Los Angeles and Miami's estate as part of a federal trafficking investigation on March 25th. Investigators tore through his offices and bedrooms, leaving cables dangling from a command center and multiple safes wide open. 3 gleaming Grammys and an Oscar sat atop a gutted console like relics of a crumbling regime. A crestfallen Combs was later seen alone, a cell phone hanging useless in his hands as he slowly paced around Miami Opa-locka Airport. His vacation in the Bahamas was canceled. His once fortified homes breached, his adult sons handcuffed, and his empire on the brinks. While the raids made global headlines, the silence from Combs' famous friends was palpable. This felt different than before when he could use a checkbook, a high powered attorney, and a media blitz to overcome scrapes with the law. When his charisma, influence, and connections would allow him to shake off allegations of violence or outcry from his disfranchised artists, reparations is getting closer and closer, former Bad Boys artist Mace said a day after the raids, the big payback. Okay, so the reparations is getting closer. Okay, this is what Mace said. I wanted to hear from Mace. He was like, Mace said the day after the raids, the big payback. Okay, it's coming, y'all. So I think Mace will be a great witness as well, because I'm sure he's seen some things at his short time with Bad Boys. Okay. Um, Over the 6 months, Rolling Stones conducted dozens of interviews with Combs' former friends, acquaintances, employees, and Bad Boy artists, as well as industry insiders. Okay, out of 300 plus people contacted for this investigation, more than 50 were willing to speak about their experiences. Several would do so only off the records, citing a fear of retribution. Some requested compensation in exchange for their stories. Rolling Stones does not pay for interviews. Many declined to participate, wanting to distance themselves from Combs. I'm trying to leave that part of my life behind me, says one former employee. Those who did speak about Combs described a complicated man with opposing personas. Outwardly, they see a tastemaker who is unapologetically driven, generous, and jovial, even silly at times. He can be the same privately, but associates who got close enough to him discover something darker behind the facade. A menacing figure who desperately wants to be accepted and admired, who uses public declarations of devotion, flashy donations, and boasts that he is brother love to hide an undercurrent of alleged abuse and violence that, in one previously unreported allegation, traces back to before his career even started, y'all. Combs welded his growing power to bend people to his will, sources claims, sending staffers to win back one-time girlfriend Jennifer Lopez, beating a label executive bloody after he became romantically involved with Combs' ex-partner Kim Porter, and allegedly trying to solicit S from a woman on his payroll, y'all. As part of this investigation, Rolling Stone sent Combs a detailed list of questions about the new and pending allegations. He did not specifically address any of them. Mr. Combs cannot comment on settled litigations, will not comment on pending litigations, and cannot address every allegation picked up by the press from any source, no matter how unreliable. His lawyer Jonathan Davis tells Rolling Stones, "We are aware that the proper authorities are conducting a thorough investigation and therefore have confidence any important issues will be addressed in their proper forum, where the rules distinguish facts from fiction." Joy Dickerson Neal, who is suing Combs for assault, tells Rolling Stones that her decision to come forward isn't about money. It's about making sure the world sees that this man rose to the level of an icon, is actually sick, and has left so many victims in the wake of his unpunishing, disgusting behaviors for years. For Ventura's, Combs presented as her flashy, established 37-year-old label boss when he pulled her into a bathroom and forcibly kissed her on her 21st birthday in 2007, leaving her in tears, according to her complaint. She says she was holding the keys to her nascent music career when he pressured her to consume drugs and have S that same year. Combs quickly became deeply entrenched in every aspect of her life, paying for her apartment, having her medical records sent directly to him, and lashing out for perceived slights. The lawsuit says when Ventura tried to move on and had a brief romantic relationship with musician Kid Cudi in 2011, Combs allegedly beat her. Combs told Combs later told Ventura he planned to blow up the rapper's car in his driveway. The lawsuit claims in a statement, the New York Times in November, Cuddy confirmed that his car exploded. This is all true, he said. In her suit, Ventura says she learned to blindly submit to Combs to avoid vicious beating. Eventually, her lawsuit claims the abuse extended to S trafficking, with Combs ordering her to slather herself in oil, get high and drunk, and have intercourse with male S workers while Combs pleasured himself and filmed the interactions, which he dubbed F-offs. She learned to disassociate during these horrific encounters, she says. I mean, this is sick, y'all. The public got a disturbing window into Combs' treatment of Ventura in the surveillance video unearthed by CNN in it. A towel-clad Combs is seen pursuing a barefoot and fleeing Ventura after he allegedly punched her in the face during a freak off in a Los Angeles hotel in 2016 at an elevator bank. Combs throws Ventura to the floor, kicks her, stomps on her, and attempts to drag her back to the room before grabbing what appears to be a vase off a table and hurling it in her direction, Ventura describes the incident in her lawsuit and alleges that Combs paid the hotel $50,000 to obtain that video. After years in silence and darkness, I am finally ready to tell my story, to speak up on behalf of myself and for the benefit of other women who face violence and abuse in their relationships. Ventura said in a statement accompanying her lawsuit, "This was an opportunity to speak up about the trauma I have experienced and that I will be recovering for the rest of my life." As Ventura's damning allegations were on the verge of going public, Combs was strategizing, according to Jones, who produced multiple songs on Combs' Grammy-nominated 2023 release, The Love album, Off the Grid. He detailed how he planned to leverage his relationship with celebrity pastor Bishop T.D. Jakes to soften the impact on his public image. Jones wrote in a sworn declaration in April, Jake did not reply to a request for comment. Publicly, Combs seemingly jumped into overdrive, producing positive press. He fulfilled his $1 million promises to his alma mater, Howard University, and the football program at another historically black college, Jackson State University. He launched Empower Global, an e-commerce platform for black entrepreneurs, and in dropping his new albums, proclaiming he was in his love era. He announced that he was giving bad boy artists and songwriters their publishing rights back. Only some artists say they were offered rights back, and Danity Kane's Aubrey O'Day said she refused because her offer came with a mandatory non-disclosure agreement. A year before her breakup with Combs, Ventura conceptualized a short film titled Cassie that appears telling in hindsight in a voice speaking about the film's fictionalizing romance. She says, "How do you just walk away from it and escape it? I just want to be free." Now we got to get into let's see how many we have. I think this is this is the longer reading. Let me just get to the bottom. Okay, so it goes down to all right, so let me get back up to one. I'm going to start at one. Let me get into this. Hold on. Okay, here we are, right here. Puff is out here acting crazy. He's beating her. Okay, we're gonna start right there. Right. Give y'all a quick intermission. Be right back. Okay, y'all, I am back. Let's get into the rest of this reading. All right, so Puff is out here acting crazy. He beating her. The hotel security footage prompted horrified reactions around the world, forced to not acknowledge his actions. Combs made a rare admission of guilt, but tailored it to the incident. I was effed up. I hit rock bottom, and I make no excuses. So he definitely tailored around it because he didn't want to acknowledge it like head on or admit to his wrongdoings. Like to her, he really just acknowledged what he did and not really acknowledge her. Like I said, that was a fake compliment. Apology, I should say. He said, I make no excuses. I take full responsibility for my action in that video. I'm disgusted, he claims. He went to therapy and rehab and was truly sorry. Ventura's lawyer said Combs apologized, showed his pathetic desperation. And again, like I told y'all before, he gonna have to cough up those records, those receipts that he went to therapy and that he went to substance abuse or substance treatment. Okay, you can't just say you did things and you can't prove you did these things. Okay, you should have a record of it, and you should be able to be verified that you attended those treatments. Many who watched the footage of the assault were stunned. Even those who known Combs for years. LaJoyce Brookshire, the former publicity director for Artista and Bad Boys, says she was disturbed to learn that these types of actions could have occurred and that Puffy could stand in my face the next day with a straight face. That shakes me to my core. Several women who attended Howard with Combs, however, had seen signs of a controlling and abusive personality decades ago. Combs started at the esteemed college in the fall of 1987 and quickly earned a reputation for throwing legendary rowdy parties. Flamboyant and boisterous, he was often seen driving his convertible around campus and passing out flyers. Though he left after his sophomore year, Combs turned Howard into a pipeline for his enterprises, teaming up with future label executives and producers Harve Pierre, Mark Pitts, and Derek D. Angeliti, all key figures in Bad Boys' early success. So what I'm getting from this is he basically was a frat brother, like a fraternal type of brother, doing fraternal stuff that he saw on the college campus, I would take it, back in 1987, okay? And then they said that he quickly earned a reputation for throwing the legendary parties. And so that's what he continued on doing to this day. But if you can imagine what was going on at those parties back in 1987, then you can only imagine what they was doing up until the time. Now he's under federal investigation, okay? So anyway, Shantae Page, a former A&R executive for Universal Motown Record Group, was among those who say they had positive experiences with Combs at Howard, calling his iconic parties a once-in-a-lifetime type of vibe. He was a go-getter from the start, she says, always in the know. But other women described previously unreported incidences involving unwanted touching and fits of rage. One woman said she kept as far away as possible after Combs caressed her back without warning and asked if she would be willing to meet one of his friends. So he been doing this. So he just grew into this person because he was already getting passes doing this stuff in college. Okay? Another former student recalled that Combs flew off the handle after she objected to him cutting a cafeteria line. While the moments may seem small, they showed flashes of danger that would soon explode. It don't seem small to me. It seemed like that's the beginning of where it all started. It started in 1987 when he was on that college dormitory and he started getting his name as a reputation for throwing the legendary rowdy parties, okay? Flamboyant and boisterous type parties, okay? That's where it started. And this bad boy development with all these key players who became a part of his early success. This is where it started back then. Anyway, but other women described previously unreported incidences involving unwanted touching and fits of rage. One woman says she kept as far away as possible as Combs caressed her back without warning and asked if she would be willing to meet one of his friends. Another former student recalled that Combs flew off the handle after she objected him to cutting a cafeteria line. While the moments may seem small, they show flashes of danger that would soon explode. A third former student recalls how the future mogul would tap on the window of an English class to get a girlfriend to ditch. The visits became noticeably unwelcome, the classmate tells Rolling Stone. She would tense up when Combs appeared. The student who sat next to the woman in class recalls he just had a weird control thing. I felt like she was fearful. Well, those fears are, I would say, could be validated today, knowing that he was as monstrous as he is today back then. The classmate who requested how do you say that? Anonymity. Ooh, I got to work on this one, y'all. That one just twisted my tongue. Midity. I know she's trying to say anonymous. Anonymity. Anonymity. Due to fear of retribution. I was fit to play with that word, y'all. It's not a game. Says her concerns were validated when Combs appeared outside the school Harriet Tubman quadrangled dorm and started screaming in a belligerent manner for his girlfriend to come outside. The classmate says other women soon began running through the halls, knocking on doors in a panic. They were sounding the alarm that Combs, known then by his nickname Puff, was attacking the young women outside, she recalls. Puff is out here acting crazy. He beating her, the fellow student said, according to the classmate. He screamed and hollered and acted a stone fool until she came downstairs. Another Howard student who witnessed the alleged attack tells Rolling Stone. She says Combs used what appeared to be a belt to strike the young woman all over the place. Speaking on the condition of anonymity, due to the sensitive nature of the incident, the witness said Combs appeared super angry and was screaming at the top of his lungs. She says he whooped her butt, like really whooped her butt. The witness says the woman was clearly terrorized. She was trying to defend herself a little bit. She was crying, and he was telling him, and we were telling him, get off of her. We were screaming for her. A third source also recalled in an alleged assault to Rolling Stone. The woman at the center of the alleged attack declined to comment. Combs was born with a short fuse, telling Jet Magazine he earned his nickname as a kid because he would always huff and puff when he got mad. I had a temper. That's why my friends started calling me Puffy. He said his mom, Janice, a former kindergarten teacher, described him as a ham. Combs barely knew his father, Melvin, a handsome drug dealer working for a Harlem kingpin. He was murdered in 1972 at the age of 33 when Combs was just a toddler. So throughout the years, Combs mourned the loss of his father figure, but Melvin had a profound influence on him nonetheless. Even if we don't know our parents, we still have their DNA in us. We have their genes. Combs has said, I have his hustle mentality, his hustle spirit, his drive, his determination, his swag. When Janice moved the family from Harlem to the suburbs of Mount Vernon, 12 miles north, Combs straddled desperate worlds. In one, he was defensive back on the football team at his all-boys Catholic high school. In the other, he rode a train to the city, immersing himself in its burgeoning hip-hop scene. I didn't know exactly what we would do, but we was blasting me but he was blasting me out the house with his mixing kit. I bought him when he was 13, making that noise, scratching those records, Janice told Vibe in 1993. After a taste of celebrity at Howard, Combs itched for more. He was hell bent on breaking into the music industry, simultaneously attending college and working a part-time internship at Uptown Records back in New York City. It was Uptown's artist Heavy D Okay, a neighbor in Mount Vernon who brokered the job interviewed after Combs repeatedly badgered the rapper at their local pizza spot. Former Uptown A&R VP Kurt Woodley tells Rolling Stones Combs commuted from Howard for the job, evading the train fare by hiding from the conductor in the bathroom. He dropped out of school to work at Uptown full time, eventually becoming a CEO to Andre Harrell's being his mentee. It's not like we were negotiating. We with just her record label. We were negotiating with her abuser. Tiffany Red, friend of Cassie Ventura. So Combs' accent at Uptown is by now part of his lore. He helped newcomers Mary J. Blige, Jodeci go multi-platinum after reshaping their images. He reinvented the remix and ushered hip-hop soul into the cultural lexicon. He threw exclusive Daddy's House parties at this since shuttered Manhattan hip hop club Red Zone that even his older Uptown colleagues jockeyed to attend. He had the ability to convince people that whatever he was doing or wherever he was, that was the hot shit. Dan Sharna's author of The Big Payback, The History of the Business of Hip Hop, tells Rolling Stones. He understood more than anyone how the innovation of hip hop, specifically sampling and using classic rap records as a basis for R&B songs, would be really powerful for a generation. As Combs' star was rising at Uptown, his predatory instincts resurfaced, according to the S assaults lawsuits filed by Joy Dickerson Neal last November. Dickerson Neal acted opposite Combs in a 1990 music video and received what she considered a warning from Bronx rapper Sister Souljah to keep her distance, giving his infamous reputation. Sister Souljah did not reply to a request for comment. Dickerson Neal says reluctantly agreed to a dinner date with Combs in January 1991 while she was a college student paying for her studies with a restaurant job. Wary of being alone with him, she requested they divine where she worked. She alleges Combs spiked her drink when she used the restroom and later pressured her into taking a hit off a blunt. She says her legs went rubbery a short time later and that Combs awed her at a nearby residence. She also claims Combs filmed the attack and showed the video to others like a trophy. Through a rep, Combs denied the allegations at the time. This 32-year-old story is made up and not creditable. Mr. Combs never assaulted her. Combs' lawyers have moved to dismiss portions of the lawsuit, calling the allegations false, offensive, and salacious. Mike Nice Lewis, who worked with Dickerson Neal at the short-lived PMD Records, tell Rolling Stone that she confided in him at the office about the alleged assault in the early 1990s. Combs, Bad Boy came up in conversation, and Lewis says Dickerson Neal's demeanor abruptly changed. Lewis claims Dickerson Neal told him that she had a very bad experience with Combs keeping her head down as she talked. I believe Joy, he said. I just knew from what she was telling me that it still affected her, even 2 years later, adds Michelle Keola, attorney for Dickerson Neal, and another accuser, Crystal McKinney. The amount of irreparable harm to my clients' mental health and professional lives cannot be overstated. Within hours of Dickerson's Neal filing her complaint, another woman sues Combs of R. Lisa Gardner claims she was 16 in 1990 when she and a friend met Combs and Uptown singer-songwriter Aaron Hall at an MCA Records event in Manhattan. Gardner alleges that the men were very flirtatious and handsy, feeding the girls drinks and inviting them to Hall's residence for a after party. She alleges Combs offered her more alcohol at Hall's home in New Jersey and forced her into S despite her protests. While she was still shocked and traumatized trying to get dressed, Hall allegedly barged into the room, pinned her down, and arred her too. Gardner claims an irate Combs later showed up where she was staying and began choking her until she almost passed out. Combs feared the woman would tell his girlfriend what he and Hall had done, the lawsuit claims. Combs' legal teams denied Gardner's allegation, calling them a money grab. But another woman who says she was with Gardner the night of the alleged attack corroborated many details of Gardner's lawsuit in a sworn affidavit filed in mid-May. The woman who is the younger sister of the friend mentioned in Gardner's complaint says she has a photo of herself with Gardner and Hall for the evening in questioning. She recalled frantically looking around Hall's apartment for her sister and Gardner after they disappeared with Combs and Hall. The then 15-year-old said she walked into a room and saw a man watching whatever Puffy was doing to Lisa. The woman wrote that she awoke the next morning at a different location where an upset Gardner said Combs had just shown up there and choked her. Hall did not respond to a request for comment. Back in the Uptown office, Combs' inflated ego outsized opinions and Machiavellian scheming were becoming a problem for his peers. He went from internally diverse to openly controversial in December 1991 when he and Heavy D helped organize a celebrity charity basketball game at City College of New York that left 9 people dead, aged 15 through 28, and dozens injured in a stampede. Combs shirked responsibility, claimed he had tried to enlist help from the NYPD, and that he had personally administered CPR to several people, but an incident report ordered by then Mayor David Dickens faulted him for allowing inexperienced underlings to handle the event planning and found the reckless over promotion had drawn too many people without tickets to the event. And this is why, not why, but this is possibly why Heavy D not here either. Because remember, rumor has it that he has something to do with also the early demise of Heavy D. Okay, so he goes way back to his beginnings because really, if we go back up some here, he's even mentioned getting his career jump started. He was actually following Heavy D and kind of like keeping his face keeping his face fresh around Heavy D and stuff like that. But anyway, it goes back, but this is possibly one of the reasons too. Heavy D can confirm in some of this stuff, but he's no longer here either. With the city investigation, possible criminal charges, lawsuits mounting, and rivals pushing Harrell to cut Combs loose. Wait a minute. So with the city investigating possible criminal charges, lawsuits were mounting, and rivals were pushing Harrell to cut Combs loose. The Uptown executive urged Combs to lie low. A terrified Combs spent months holed up in a Manhattan hotel with his mother, according to Kurt Burrows, Bad Boys co-founder, partner, and president. Burrows was fired from Bad Boys in 1997. In 2003, he sued Combs for allegedly threatening him with a baseball bat and coercing him into signing over his stakes in the company. His claims were dismissed as beyond the statute of limitation. Wow. So he allegedly, Sean Diddy, P. Diddy, Puffy, whatever y'all calling him, Monstrous Combs, had basically coerced his former bad boy employee into signing over his stakes of the company. So he wanted to make sure nobody got nothing. This to me is not far-fetched and it's not hard to believe, based on all the information and and accusations and, stories that are coming out, and what people have known back then. This is not far-fetched. So I would believe it if it was me. After the controversy subsided and Combs returned to Uptown, he still considered himself Harrell's heir apparent, but his access to his mentor was restricted. He spent much of 1992 producing Mary J. Blige landmark debut, What's the 411, gaining redemption in the album's acclaim. Around this time, he founded his own Uptown imprint, Bad Boy Entertainment, where he could sign his own artists and make extra cash. Burroughs remembers jealous Uptown executives referring to Combs as Satan and flipping him off as they walked by his small offices in the Uptown building. Harrell uh, soured on him too, as Woodley recalls. Harrell said, I'm gonna fire Puff. He's getting a little too big for himself. He's bothering people with pressuring Mountain. Harrell fired Combs in July 1993. Uptown was supposed to oversee the album release of Combs' newest signee, Christopher Wallace, aka the Notorious B.I.G., but Combs was free to find a new home for his fledgling label. So they fired him just as he got Biggie, y'all. The termination was devastating for Combs. Burroughs says, leaving the 23-year-old crying buckets of tears outside the office. He loved Andre. Burroughs says he loved Uptown. He didn't understand what Bad Boy was going to be. Hold on, y'all. It jumped. Okay. Okay. He didn't know what Bad Boys was going to be. I cried for a couple of days and felt like I wanted to jump off a building. Combs told Rolling Stones in 1995. I think at times I was hard to work with. Possibly I was doing stuff that an a-hole would do, just abusing the power. But that was only a little bit of the time. So he said he cried for a couple of days and felt like he wanted to jump off of a building. So it's safe to say he felt suicidal. The making of a mogul, cast of an Uptown, and blamed for a tragedy that claimed 9 lives. Combs could have faded into obscurity, but he was scrappy and determined, quickly securing a reported $10 million deal from Arista Records, Clive Davis, that kept Bad Boys Entertainment alive. Oh, this is where the monkey wrench comes in at, y'all. You know what they say about Clive. Now, he was helming a skeleton crew eager to turn artists into superstars and cement hip hop as a mainstream genre. While the world did not understand the power of hip hop, I was working in it and watching it unfold, says Michelle Joyce, Bad Boy's first director of marketing. I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that it wasn't if it was going to pop, it was when. It wasn't easy. Hours were brutal, pays was low, and the workload intense. The next summer, only 1 year after Combs' dismissal from Uptown, their work paid off with Craig Mack's ubiquitous, ubiquitous, I don't know how to say this word, y'all, and I'm not going to front on it. Ubiquitous, flavor in your ear, and Notorious B.I.G.'s One More Chance. In the next 3 years, Bad Boy would become the premier label for upcoming hip-hop and R&B artists, churning out chart-topping albums from Faith Evans, Toto, and 112, and soundtracking clubs and radio stations nationwide. And in Wallace, Bad Boy had a budging superstar, Biggie Smalls, the storytelling genius with the effortless flow. Still, Combs was volatile. Burroughs says he once saw Combs attacking a woman inside Bad Boy's office in 1994. He and another ex-employee telling Rolling Stones they had to tear Combs off the woman after hearing screams and the sounds of shattering glass. The woman declined Rolling Stones' request for comment. Felicia Newsom, the first manager about Bad Boys recording studios, Daddy's House, says she once held Combs back when he was about to beat this girl tail after a fight broke out between two women. I'm holding him by his waist saying, you need to calm down. This is not your fight, Newsom recalls. Former Artista intern April Lamprose claims Combs turned violent with her, too. In a lawsuit filed in May, Lamprose alleges Combs attacked her in a parking garage in the mid-1990s, forcing her to her knees to perform oral fellatio. It was one of 4 horrific assaults she says she endured during her off relationship with Combs. As Bad Boys was on the rise, staffers kept Combs' transgressions quiet, whether out of loyalty, fear, or a belief that such incidents were rare. Outwardly, he was labeled unceasing hype man, ad-libbing on tracks and making cameos in his artist videos. It was clear he wanted something bigger for himself. I distinctly remember the day that Clive Davis called and asked me to start gathering press for Puffy, just he were the as if he were the artist, says Brookshire. Behind his back, I used to call him my problem child, the notorious VIP. Combs got all the press he wanted when he and his LA counterpart, Death Row Records boss Marion Suge Knight, became entangled in a years-long heavyweight hip-hop fight. The pair had once been friendly. Combs even molded Bad Boys after Death Row, he told Rolling Stones in 1997. But the subsequent rivalry between Biggie and Knight's charismatic superstar Tupac Shakur would turn into a Pyrrhic victory for both labels. Combs was fond of Shakur, admiring his ability to marry street credibility with mainstream appeal. Burroughs note that the Bad Boy team spent the summer of 1993 studying the rapper's buoyant hit I Get Around as a blueprint for a commercial hip-hop record. Desperate to be taken seriously, Combs tried to foster a friendship, but Shakur was not interested. Pac didn't have any kind of respect for Puff, says 19's hip-hop photographer Monique Bunn, who was close with Wallace and other Bad Boy artists. To Shakur and even Wallace, Bunn says, Combs was a corny executive. And I always thought that he was very corny, and I always thought that he was envious of Tupac. Instead, Shakur bonded with Wallace, whom he viewed as his peer. Burroughs remembers, as a result, he says, referring to Combs, there was something on the sidelines jealous. The friendship would be short-lived after Shakur was ambushed and shot 5 times in the lobby of Quad Studios in Times Square. So somebody set that up to make it look like it was Biggie to start an arrival between Biggie and Tupac. That's my opinion. I lived in the 90s. I always felt that that's what it was because they was cool with each other. And knowing now that Diddy wanted to be cool with Tupac, but Tupac wasn't feeling Tupac wasn't feeling Diddy, so he connected closer to Biggie, which would make more sense, okay? But again, if you grew up in the 90s and you lived that era and you hear like myself, one of the chosen few able to still talk about it and tell it, and shout out to y'all. Make sure y'all hit that like button for sure, okay? And make sure y'all subscribe to the channel for sure, especially the people that lived the 90s, okay? And if you haven't, just to get part of this history, make sure y'all subscribe as well. So anyway, the friendship would be short-lived after Shakur was ambushed and shot 5 times in the lobby of Quad Studios in Times Square in 1994. He blamed Combs and Bad Boy's crew for setting him up. Now, he had it right, in my opinion, by blaming Combs. But I don't think he should have blamed Biggie because, in my opinion, Biggie had nothing to benefit from him doing that to him. But in my opinion, Puffy did. He didn't want that relationship. How his artist cool with another artist that he wanted to be cool with, but the artist don't like him, but like his artist. Come on now. Now, and the Bad Boy crew for setting him up, which Combs has already denied. From there, everything got blown out of proportion. Bunn says Bad Boys executives started encouraging Wallace to write certain songs. Burroughs says, despite the rapper not feeling so beefy with his former friend, with tensions fronting, Combs released Wallace's single, Who Shot You? And so, see, look who did all this, though, y'all. So, again, in my opinion, his name is all in this. His hands is so dirty. Combs released that single, okay? Combs released a Biggie single. Despite Biggie probably saying basically he wasn't feeling beefy. He didn't want nothing to do with that beef. But Combs like, nah, let's drop that because he knew that was going to start a riot. So who shot you, right? You being sarcastic because knowing that that Tupac was just shot in the studio that they was sharing, and then it looks suspicious. You would think Biggie had something to do with it, but knowing what I know, I always felt it was Diddy, in my opinion. Okay, and still to this day, I feel it was Diddy that did that. And knowing he released "Who Shot You," okay, it was widely viewed as a sneering provocation aimed at Shakur, though Wallace was adamant it was not, because he, in his mind, felt like he's not taking shots at him, and he had a song that just went perfect with the scenario of what went down with Tupac. Here comes not Biggie, but here comes Puffy, no good monstrous tail, dropping this information and dropping that song, making it look like Biggie had something to do with it, but it's Biggie's song, but it was Puffy's releasing of it, okay? And like I said, reading this here, Wallace was adamant it was nothing, sinister about it. But Shakur responded with ferocious, hit 'em up, pushing hostilities to their peak, okay? And I mean, they was pushing it. And I was out there watching this, and I lived through these moments, y'all. Perhaps seeing a promotional play, Combs stoked the East Coast, West Coast rivalry. The two label heads traded jabs with Nightcast as the intimidating cigar-chomping gang affiliates boss, and Combs the slick. See, you had Puffy and Suge Knight was cool with each other. And then you got they artists is cool with each other. That was a problem. Somebody had to cause a chaos and cause corruption in that situation and shut that down. That was a smear campaign, okay? Combs the slick, clean-cut executive. When a 25-year-old Shakur was murdered in September 1996, Shakur was murdered in September 1996 in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas, Knight immediately pointed the finger at Combs, okay? Who denied involvement. Some Bad Boy employees received personal death threats soon after. I didn't recall reading in the employee manual that dodging bullets was a part of my job description, Bookshire says. Last September, Compton Crips gang member Dwayne Keefe D. Davis was charged with Shakur's murder. His trial is set to begin in November. Davis has claimed Combs offered $1 million for a hit on Shakur. Okay, so Keefe D says that Combs put out $1 million on Tupac. Okay, so Combs vehemently denies that claim as well. 6 months after Shakur's death in March 1997, Wallace, 24, was attending a Soul Train Music Award after party in Los Angeles when a gunman opened fire on his GMC Suburban, killing him. Police considered that one homicide and unsolved act of retaliation. But see how they did it, how they set it in play. That was some people who wanted both of them out the way because they would benefit from their loss, okay? Allegedly. Multiple reports alleged that Wallace had been preparing to leave Bad Boy shortly before his death. So they got rid of him before he could even leave Bad Boy. So once they got wind that he was getting up out of there, now all of a sudden he got out of there all right, but it wasn't the way Biggie intended to leave, okay? It didn't help that Combs had been fighting with Wallace's attorneys who were trying to wrest back the rapper's publishing rights. So he done took Biggie's rights too, y'all. I mean, not that this new to me, but maybe new to some of the viewers and some of the young viewers who are, finding out about this feud and not having any, knowledge about this feud and stuff like that. So, let's see. Wallace attorneys who were trying to wrest back the rapper's publishing rights. The publishing rights. Hold on. Let me see. And I will never give it up until I'm dead and my bones are crushed. Okay, that's what it says. It says until my bones are crushed. Let's see. My bones are crushed into my powder. Combs told the lawyers, according to the Big Payback, Biggie was absolutely about to leave Puff, Bun says. I know for a fact he told me that, another source adds. Everybody wanted to leave Puffy. Everybody leaves Puffy. But just think about this for a second, because when Mace said his statement, Mace said that this was the Big Payback. Remember that in the early parts of this reading, you guys? Mace was like, this is this is the payback. He said this is the big payback. This is his exact words. So this person that's a lawyer for Biggie is very creditable. So he has this information, and this can be used against Puffy. Okay, Puffy going down, y'all. All right, so let's see. So she was crying, and we were telling him, get off her. We were screaming for her. So Combs capitalized on the shock and sorrow over Wallace's death. Brookshire, who had been traveling in the same SUV as Wallace during press events the day before he died, says Combs denied her request for time to process her grief. He wouldn't even give her time off, y'all. Instead, just 2 weeks after the slaying, she says Combs ordered her to focus all efforts on Wallace's upcoming album, Life After Death. Combs demanded it be number one, number one, number one, number one, number one, top 10, top 10, top 10. She recalls it sold nearly 700,000 copies in its first week. When Rolling Stones approached Bad Boys about a cover opportunity a few months after Biggie's murder, Burroughs claimed he advocated for the late rapper to take the spot. I was telling Sean, let's make it Biggie. You still have a chance for a cover in the future, Burroughs recalls. He's like, no, he's dead. I'm putting out Combs' debut album, No Way Out, in July. I need to be on the cover of Rolling Stones. Combs got his cover, and 2 years later, he acknowledged how Biggie's death had been big business. I think his passing added to the fame, Combs told Rolling Stones in 1999. At least 2 million of the nearly 5 million copies of No Way Out sold were due to his death. Straight up. And that doesn't necessarily feel good, but that's the reality. Even death row's fearsome boss, who's currently serving 28 years for manslaughter sentence and has been labeled a boogeyman of hip-hop, said Combs' behavior was distasteful. When Pac left, I didn't pick up a microphone. Knight said on his prison podcast, I picked up the pieces. Now we're getting into part 3, you guys. Okay, so part 3. In the late 1990s, fans regularly gathered outside the Daddy's house studio in Midtown Manhattan, angling to see a famous face of pass along a mixtape. We have built this machine, the hottest hip-hop label in the world, and people started to jockey to get next to Puffy, Joyce says. As the new millennial dawned, hip-hop entered its bling era, with Combs and his artists mining the melodies of 1980s pop songs, guaranteed commercial hits. They were matching shiny suits, spit raps about designers, socks, and yachts, draped themselves in diamonds, and filled their big budgets videos with fawning women and bombastic pyrotechnics. The label was thriving off Biggie's legacy and bolstering by rising stars. Wow. So the label is living off of Biggie. So you already got Clyde Davis that came in and saved Diddy at once upon a time. Now you got Diddy getting the royalties and the come ups off of the fruits and the labor of his artist Biggie Smalls. Okay. Bolstering by rising stars, Mace, Shine, Black Rob, and Black Rob is no longer here. Shine, we know, took the fall. Mace didn't get nothing but $20,000. Okay, Combs won Grammys, was nominated for his works. Hold on, y'all, let me plug this back up. Woo, child, they got this right. I like this reading. This is a good ass read. Shout out to Rolling Stones again for this one. Biggie didn't want no beef with Tupac. He didn't, Michelle. Shout out to Michelle and Grape Tea and Grammys, and was nominated for his work with outside artists Mariah Carey and R. Kelly. He entered the upper echelons of New York society, partying with hold on, I done lost my spot. Hold on, y'all. Let's get, okay, here we go. Partying with Revlon billionaire Ron Perelman, Donald Trump. There was a certain narcissism and attitude of objectifying not just women, but all people, and wanting to be with other men who enjoy moving people around like chess pieces. Charna says of Combs, adding that he was the standard bearer for hip-hop as capitalism's and a social mobility play. Becoming a dominant force in the industry only seemed to amplify Combs' bullying behavior. In April 1999, he barged into the office of Interscope Radio executive Steve Stout and allegedly turned violent. Combs was furious that Stout didn't cut him from a crucifixion scene in a Nas music video before sending it to MTV. He punched me in the face, and then he grabbed the phone and bashed me in the head with it. Stout recounted to the LA Times. Combs privately settled with Stout reportedly for $500,000 and dodged a 7-year prison sentence by pleading to a reduced charge of harassment. That summer, Combs released his second album, Forever. The album's critical and commercial failure, it sold less than half what its predecessors did, hardly diminish Combs' star power. So he had already dodged a 7-year prison sentence because he paid $500,000 once before. Diddy is done. This goes to trial, y'all. They're gonna use this is right here, in my opinion. This is the foundation. They have laid out the foundation of Diddy's history and made it easy to put in this whole history in its right place from the beginning to where we are now. Okay, this whole reading, y'all, spills out Diddy's upcoming, in my opinion, future conviction. A few months later, in December, Combs was arrested after a nightclub shooting. Look, and he kept getting more bigger. He already dodged a 7-year jail sentence for prison, okay, for $500,000 payout plus he talked his way out or whatever. But see, we blaming him, but we need to blame the people who knows right from wrong. They could have took that $500,000 if that's what they wanted to do, but that 7 years should have still been on the table. A lot of people will still be here. Probably Heavy D would still be here. Kim Porter would still be here. So many people would still be here had he gotten sentenced back then. Okay? Now, moving on, because all I'm seeing in this here is one cover-up after another cover-up after another cover-up after another cover-up till now they're done. They can't cover up nothing else for him because he didn't got all his cover-ups covered up. He didn't, you know what I'm saying? So now somebody is frustrated and done with him, but they should have been done with him in the beginning. He should have been stopped in college at the damn college dormitory parties he was giving, okay? These extraordinary parties. Anyway, a few months later in December, Combs was arrested after a nightclub shooting in which 3 people were injured. His newest star, Shine, a.k.a. Jamal Michael Barrow, was convicted of firing the shots and sentenced to 10 years. Barrow was deported to Belize upon his 2009 release. Combs, so he got out of prison and went straight back to his damn country, which he hadn't been in years, and then go back after he's finished his American time here. Then they deport him over there, and that's crazy. So believe me when I tell you, Shine is also going to be coming in to testify for, in my opinion, the prosecution. Okay? Everybody that's speaking in these articles will be spoken to when it comes time for that court matter to happen, because they said that the grand jury got this and it's an imminent arrest is actually coming. So anyway, so fired, sentenced to 10 years. Barrow was deported to Belize upon his release, 2009 release. Combs, meanwhile, was charged with weapons possession and attempted bribery after he and then girlfriend Jennifer Lopez fled the shooting in a Lincoln Navigate that reportedly ran 11 red lights. Again, what consequences was happening for them 11 red lights that they ran? Okay, so again, another cover-up, y'all. Combs was facing up to 15 years in prison if convicted. Look at this. Look at how they really covered up all this jail time that he could have been facing. He dodged a 7-year one, y'all. And he just dodged a 15-year prison sentence too if he would have been convicted. Kevin Rogers Francis, a host at Combs' restaurant, Justice, who did marketing work for Combs' short-lived magazine, Notorious, recalls the mogul scrambling for money, shuttering the magazine, and hitting the restaurant drawers for cash in what Francis presumes was an effort to cover hefty legal bills. The prosecutor claimed Combs offered cash to witnesses after some said Combs was the shooter. So he was paying people off for that. And Shine ended up getting the consequences of Diddy's actions and deported after serving 10 years in the American system. Okay? So Shine just kept getting railroaded after railroad and becoming the fall guy after the fall guy after the fall guy. Okay? So anyway, the prosecutor claims Combs offered cash to witnesses after some said Combs was the shooter. Victim Natanya Rubin has been adamant that Combs fired the bullet that tore through her nose. Combs' own driver testified that Combs offered him $50,000 using a $40,000 pinky ring as collateral if he would say he owned the unlicensed gun found in the SUV. Others have claimed Combs paid as much as $1 million to borrow through an intermediary to buy his silence. Barrow denies the claims to Rolling Stones, calling it ridiculous misinformation. After a 6-week trial, Combs was acquitted in March 2001 with his mounting scandalous and tabloid relationship with Lopez and the popularity of his Sean John clothing line, which launched in 1998. Combs entered the pop culture stratosphere. It became a point of pride to work for Bad Boy's former employees Flash Rodriguez. It was just a company. It was not just a company. It was a lifestyle. Woo! They got his whole life packed. When I tell you packed down, packed down. Hold on, let me see. And I still can't see how much more. Hold on, y'all. All right. But Combs was difficult to work for. Employees who wanted to stick around had to learn how to speak puffy. Brookshires and multiple sources says a demanding boss, Combs often yelled to get his point across and fired employees on a whim. No one on his team at Bad Boy spoke back to him. Former Daddy's House studio manager Newsom says no one challenged him. I told y'all no one challenged him, because if somebody would have challenged him a long time ago, this monster, he wouldn't have been able to hide it. Okay? Another source recalls Mace, whose real name is Mason Betham, calling Combs Massa behind his back. Betham did not reply to a request for comment. He was so volatile, says a source who sometimes worked with Bad Boy. He's always on the edge of snapping and being scary. People did whatever he said to stay in his good grace, and Puffy exploited people's desire to be in those environments. Why is nobody saying anything? Are they that scared of him? Okay. After Combs' acquittal in the nightclub shooting in 2001, he reportedly headed straight to church. He later made a less God-fearing visit to the Peninsula Hotel, where he was throwing a massive bash to celebrate the verdict. It was that Anna, a freelance graphic designer, worked with Bad Boy's marketing team, says Combs approached her and began to massage her shoulders. Right after he get out of one incident, here he is doing another incident. Okay? The woman requested a persuadum, meaning a fake name, citing fear of retribution. Okay? I'm getting touched on my shoulder, my arms, my back. He's like, oh yeah, you like that? I know you like that. Like, really? Really gross. Anna recalls sharing her story publicly for the first time. I was like, no, not so much. And I sort of floated my way out of there. Anna says she avoided Combs the rest of the night. Weeks later, her boss, girlfriend, confided that Combs allegedly approached the boss the night of the party to solicit me for S Anna says a friend confirmed to Rolling Stones that Anna told her about both the encounters and the proposed arrangements when they began working together a few years later. The boss did not return Rolling Stone's request for an interview, and the girlfriend declined to speak. I felt quite unsettled about this for many years. When people ask me about my days at Bad Boys, it's just overshadowed by his crap, Anna says, adding that Combs treated her as though she existed to accommodate his whims. Combs often flaunted his sexual encounters even if underage artists were around to see. A teenage usher briefly lived at Combs' New York house in the early 90s as a young bad boy protege. Puff introduced me to a totally different set of shit. Sex specifically, Usher recalls to Rolling Stone in 2004. There was always girls around. You'd open a door and see somebody doing it, or several people in a room having an orgy. You never knew what was going to happen. And this is Usher giving his account back in 2004, way before now, when these allegations are starting to now come to the light. Casey Sheridan, a member of the teenage girl band Dream, recalls the group being summoned for a meeting with Combs to a Beverly Hills hotel bungalow when she was 15 and awkwardly eyeing a purse and a pair of high heels by the front door as the group waited. After 20 minutes, a bathrobe, okay, I'm about tired of seeing Diddy in a bathrobe, emerged from a nearby room. It's like you can't even keep our innocence. I'm 15, walking into this situation, knowing exactly what he was doing next door, Sheridan says. Feeding off his fame and power, Combs appeared to be pushing his most sickening impulse even further. Model Crystal McKinney was photographed during a star-studded Sean John fashion show in February 2003. Hours later, according to her recent lawsuit, Combs said she was acting too uptight and pressured her to take a hit from a lace joint. She alleges he then forced her to perform oral fellatio on him despite her resistance. The night sent McKinnon into a tailspin of anxiety and depression that she says resulted in a suicide attempt. I had a whole future in modeling mapped out that was stolen from me. Being assaulted and having no recourse is so painful, McKinney tells Rolling Stone. I felt like I was dying every day because I did not yet have the strength to come forward. I hope that by speaking out, I can help other survivors come forward and seek justice. Not long after, between the spring and fall of 2003, a 17-year-old girl was out one night with friends at a Detroit area lounge when a man in a suit approached and allegedly introduced himself as Combs' best friend. The man purportedly called Combs and let the girl speak directly with the famed producer, who was twice her age. The man, alleged to be former Bad Boy president Harvey Pierre, convinced the girl to board a private jet and take the 2-hour flight to Teterboro, New Jersey, just outside New York City, to meet Combs in person, according to a lawsuit filed last December by the girl, now an adult Jane Doe plaintiff, then a high school junior. She was awestruck by the opportunity, documenting the trip with photos from inside Daddy's house, where she's seen pretending to record a song, pointing at Combs' initial on the wall and sitting on Combs' lap. And this is her. She got her picture and her receipts. The photos were included in the lawsuit to corroborate the woman's claim, allegations that she was she was ganged that night by Pierre, Combs, and a third unidentified man inside the recording studio. The woman claims the man plied her with drugs and alcohol until she was nearly unconscious and unable to consent. As she started to black out, she claims Combs led her to a bathroom where he removed her skirt and underwear and penetrated her from behind. As she drifted in and out The unnamed assailant replaced Combs and arred her from behind as Combs watched, she says. The woman alleges Pierre replaced the second man and arred her too. When the man finished, she fell into a fetal position on the floor in an excruciating pain and was later escorted out of the building and flown back to Michigan, she claims. Combs' lawyers filed a motion to dismiss, calling Doe's account a decade-old tale, a baseless claim, and an effort to extract an undeserved financial recovery. Pierre did not reply to a request for comment, but previously called the accusation fiction and a desperate attempt for financial gain. Drugs were a consistent part of Combs' life, Ventura alleges in her lawsuit, claiming he was addicted to prescription painkillers and took ecstasy frequently. She claims he had pills and other drugs out in the open like candy, and that he would supply alcohol, ecstasy, cocaine, and sedative, GHB, ketamine, and marijuana during F-offs, but far from enhancing a party vibe. Ventura and others says these substances only darken his mood. Once Combs got drunk or high enough, says one freaking party guest in the early 2000s, he would turn violent and loud. He would take his anger out on people. At several points when Combs was extremely intoxicated, Ventura alleges he beat her. And industry sources say they once left a party at Combs' home because they felt so uncomfortable watching an aggressive Combs yell at Ventura throughout the night. You could tell in her eyes that she was scared. They said, I'm like, is this normal? Am I tripping right now? Why is nobody saying anything? And are they that scared of him? In a 2015 appearance on the Breakfast Club radio show, Combs described the deal he offers his girlfriends. If I'm in a relationship with you 25% of your time, you're gonna just feel like, oh man, I hate being here. This guy cheated on me. He lied on me. Combs explained while sitting next to his teenage son, Christian. This is why his kids is picking this information up and this behavior, because he's doing this in front of them. Okay, and I'm sure they've seen a lot of stuff that them kids could corroborate. But then there's 75% of I'ma make you the happiest woman in the world, wide in the whole wide world. I'ma be there to support your dreams. I'ma be there to hold you, listen to you. I'ma be there to be your best friend, and I promise you will smile the most. You know who I am. This is what it is. Which deal would you choose? Nigga, I'm going home. There was one term of the deal Combs never disclosed, sources says. The woman who signed up for it were not allowed to walk away. Damian Vasquez, a former Bad Boy intern, says after Combs and Lopez broke up, Combs had staffers camp outside MTV's TRL studio signs to win her back. Ventura's claimed that every time she hid, Combs' network of operatives found her and implored her to return, including a Bad Boy executive who threatened to withhold the release of her music if she didn't return Combs' calls. After Ventura left, he tried to paint a picture of a heartbroken, hurt man. A source who knew the couple throughout their relationship says when the reality was he's a liar and an abuser. So he did the same thing to Jennifer Lopez. He stalked Jennifer Lopez. He pinned her pictures and photos, had people all outside the studio trying to win her back as well. So, in my opinion, Jennifer suffers something too. Okay, she's trying to be a tough girl, but honey, it's time to toughen up and really just let loose and just tell what happened. Because I feel like she's a victim, alleged victim too. Burroughs believes Combs loses at a young age, especially the murder of his father took a toll on his relationship. He is fortified now with the money and the power, but abandonment and the act of leaving can bring about vicious results, he says, and the woman catches it the worst. Combs' long-term partner, Kim Porter, who died of lobar pneumonia in 2018, was no exception. The relationship was tumultuous, according to two sources who claim Combs physically abused her. I remember Kim used to go through a lot of stuff. Former Bad Boys rapper Mark Curry says, if you lived around them, you get to see the toxic relationship. I think every relationship he had that I experienced around him was like that. Wow. And that's Mark Curry. Combs and Porter first got together in 1994 and dated on and off until 2007. So you know she was getting the business terrible because 1994, this is like the height of his career. This bet, Biggie was around in this era. Come on, man. People have seen a lot of stuff. This article is giving a lot of truth in this, y'all. So anyway, Combs and Porter first got together in 1994, dated on and off until 2007. She ended it for good upon learning Combs had fathered a secret child while she was pregnant with their twin daughters. There were other infidelities, including Combs' affair with Lopez, but Combs never let Porter truly move on, she told Essence. He still called 50 to 60 times a day. She said, it was like my life was not my own. He was very, very intrusive. In 2000, Porter fledgling courtship with late music executive Shakur Stewart enraged Combs. When the industry gathered for L.A. Reid's wedding in Italy that summer, Combs went to Stewart's room after the ceremony and allegedly broke a chair over Stewart's head. Stewart's mother and two of his closest friends telling Rolling Stones he left him bleeding on a hotel floor in Italy. Stewart's mother, Portia, says he had to have stitches, and then Combs threatened him, I'm going to kill you. That's when I said, you need to get out of this business. This man is crazy. Okay? Woo, y'all. We almost done. I've noticed him kill a lot of people's spirit. By the mid-2000s, Bad Boy had hemorrhaged several top acts, including Faith Evans, Toto, 112, Craig Mack, and Foxy Brown. 2 decades later, nearly all of Combs' artists have left him. Apart from him, stepson Quincy Brown and son Christian, only Janelle Monáe is left on the label. A rep from Monet did not reply for a request for comment. Machine Gun Kelly's last track released with Bad Boys was in February 2024. He started his own label, EST 19XX, under Interscope. Well, all I can say is for Janelle Monáe, she may be one of the luckiest ones to be on his label, but it's time for her to separate herself, okay? I don't know when her contract is up or what she got going on, but baby, okay? Yeah, she's the lucky one because she's coming in when all this is getting exposed. She's probably dodging bullets from the time she came in till now. You know, he's under a microscope. Ain't too much of nothing he can do at this point. He's about to be done. Diddy gonna be done. Allegedly. Rolling Stones reached out to dozens of artists who began signed to Bad Boys to ask about their experiences with the label. Many declined, with one saying, I don't have anything nice to say when it comes to my time with Bad Boy. It was not a good experience and one I really don't want to relive. Those who did speak to Rolling Stone say they felt their time with the label was squandered through lack of direction. Several spent years at Bad Boys without releasing any music. Okay? Just a waste of damn time. Curry, who was affiliated with Bad Boys from 1997 to 2006, has been one of the most outspoken detractors, writing about his dealings with Combs in his 2009 book, Dancing with the Devil, How Puff Burned the Bad Boys of Hip Hop. He says Combs repeatedly promised to produce his solo album, but never gave him a budget. There's different ways you can kill a person, Curry tells Rolling Stones. I've noticed him kill a lot of people's spirit. He is the monster. He is this monster. Nothing has changed. This guy got no soul, no duty to anyone, not even his kids. Not everyone felt the same. Singer-songwriter Kalina Harper says one of the highs of her life was joining Combs' Diddy Dirty Money group in 2009. She was later invited to work with Combs on the Love album. He was effing cool as ever. She said adding the artists who blame Combs for the trajectory of their careers may suffer from disgruntled employee syndrome. Years ago, there were whispers that some Bad Boys A&R executives would expect favors from female artists in exchange for professional attentions. I would hear about female artists being asked to do stuff with some of the other male executives, recalls one former Bad Boy staffer, like, we can make or break your career. What are you going to do about it? Going to HR was useless. If you want your job, you're not going. Wait. This. Okay, hold on, y'all. Okay. Where was I? Okay. Years ago, there were whispers that some Bad Boys A&R executives would expect S favors from female artists in exchange for professional attention. I would hear about female artists being asked to do stuff with some of the other male executives. Recalls one former Bad Boy staffer, like, we can make or break your career. What are you going to do about it? Going to HR was useless. If you want your job, you're not going there to complain, they add. On the Call Her Daddy podcast in 2022, Danity Kane's Aubrey O'Day said she was kicked out of the group because she was not willing to do certain things, not talent wise, but in other areas. She refused to get specifics, saying the truth was what you can imagine. There was no Me Too, she added. You signed a million NDAs and a million contracts that took away your rights. Asked by Rolling Stone to elaborate, O'Day says, the answer to what happens if you don't do what the executives want, I'm the full-blown effing story of that. Some who left Combs worry he might try to expel them from the industry altogether. Brooklyn rapper Lynn Babs Bunny Wiley of Combs' MTV reality show Making the Band says she was blackballed after leaving the label. Bun, the photographer, claims her gigs instantly dried up after winning a lawsuit against Combs in 2000 for withholding a set of Biggie photos from her. She claims a friend at the Fader magazine told her that Combs personally called the office and said if they worked with Bunna, Bad Boy would pull its advertising from the magazine. Talk show host Wendy Williams wrote in her 2004 book that Combs spent a lot of money and used a lot of his influence to try to crush me. After she posted an alleged photo of Combs and another man on her website, Combs denied it was him in the photo. And music producer Easy Mo B claimed in February that after he challenged Combs over a credit, Combs had given himself on the producer's song, he noticed certain people wouldn't deal with me. He's someone you don't want to make an enemy out of, says one former employee of Combs. When people do go against him, that person gets ostracized. For some, the FX being shunned by Combs were profound. Francesca Spuro joined Bad Boys Entertainment in 1998, rising through the company to become Combs' right-hand woman, but Spuro alleged in an age and disability discrimination lawsuit that Combs illegally fired her in 2010. She claimed Combs froze her out after she took time to recover from her hip surgery and voluntarily checked into a rehab to treat a lapse in her sobriety. Sparrow tried to continue working in the music industry, but opportunities would disappear. A family member says the alleged backlisting led to significant health issues, which brought her to her end. The relative says she was devastated by the way she was treated. She felt betrayed. Sparrow died in 2014. As ex-Bad Boy President Burroughs puts in Combs never forgets a grudge. If he sees a snag in the sweater, he'll pull it. Wow. Life ain't always what it seems to be, y'all. So for Combs' 50th birthday in 2019, revelers gathered at his 17,000 square foot Homely Hills home in black tie attire and beaded gowns, sipping champagne and ice cold Ciroc, the vodka brand Combs shield for a share of profits. They admired the breathtaking Kerry James Marshall painting that Combs had recently purchased for $21 million. Guests Beyonce and Jay-Z rubbed shoulders with Dr. Dre, Leonardo DiCaprio, Kobe Bryant, rest in peace Kobe, Cardi B, Snoop Dogg, Kim Kardashian, Usher, and Post Malone. It was a crowning moment for Combs, a testament to the multifaceted success he had worked so hard to achieve. Combs had conquered fashion, winning Men's Wear Designer of the Year and at the prestigious Council of Fashion Designer of America Awards in 2004, acted on Broadway, become the co-owner of De Leon Tequila founded the Revo TV cable network, purchased the sports beverage company Aquadre with Mark Wahlberg, and filmed a cameo in Disney's 2014 movie Muppets Most Wanted. He legally changed his middle name to Love, with his hard edge seemingly polished away by his gilded life. Combs appeared untouchable. It was all the perfect cover for his alleged physical and abuse of Ventura. Ventura says in her lawsuit that there were multiple witnesses to her alleged mistreatment, but they were too afraid to cross Combs. She claims both Combs, head of security, and his assistant began to cry when they saw the extent of her injuries. In an open letter published by Rolling Stones, Ventura's friend Tiffany Red wrote that she was present the night Ventura says she was forced to leave her 2015 surprise birthday party for another F-off with Combs. Red recalled seeing Ventura back up against a wall with Combs cursing her out. She said Ventura returned later that night, apparently sedated, while Combs screamed at Red, tell your girl she wants some birthday dick. I flew all the way from Miami. She gonna get this birthday dick. Red wrote that she told a visibly angry Combs to leave Ventura alone. She recalled Combs ignoring her and driving off with Ventura in a golf cart. Combs' physical abuse extended to Ventura's inner circle as well. According to her lawsuit, she claims one of her friends obtained a settlement after a physical altercation with Combs in 2018. After Ventura's birthday party in 2015, a severely intoxicated Combs allegedly dangled another of Ventura's friends over a 17th floor balcony. Neither friend responded to a request for comment from Rolling Stones. One source who worked with Combs and Ventura says people fail to speak up because Combs doesn't believe in being told no. And if you get caught up in the wrath of that, it can be very dangerous. In her lawsuit, Ventura says she finally found the strength to leave for good when Combs allegedly forced his way into her apartment and arred her in September 2018. The night she met him for dinner to discuss breaking up, she claims Combs pulled off her clothing and assaulted her as she repeatedly said no and tried to push him away. A month later, people reported the relationship was over, citing a source who said Ventura was moving on with renewed focus on her career. Though Ventura's alleged hell at the hands of Combs was largely unknown until she filed her complaint, overlapping public claims about Combs' behavior made minor headlines during their decade together. In 2017, Combs was sued for harassment by personal chef Cindy Ruda in a lawsuit that seemed bizarre at the time but has gained renewed scrutiny. Ruda claimed that when she worked for Combs in 2015 and part of 2016, he regularly had her serve dishes while he and his guests were engaged in sexual activity. Ruda claimed Combs once asked her to prepare a post-coital meal, then greeted her fully naked and asked if she liked his naked body. One incident in August 2015 allegedly involved Combs ordering Ruda to serve him breakfast in his room and then partaking in sexual activities with model Gina Huna. As Ruda dropped the food on a table and fled, the lawsuit was forced into arbitration and ended privately. A lawyer for Ruda did not reply to a request for comment. So again, these are the people, in my opinion, that's going to be coming testifying against Diddy. In case he tuned in, this is the case against Diddy right here as we reading it, y'all. Hyan, meanwhile, reemerged in 2019 with claims that Combs beat her. In an interview with gossip blogger Tasha K, Han said she started dating Combs in 2014 and that he offered her $50,000 to terminate her pregnancy that year. Hine also said Combs shoved her to the ground and dragged her by her hair in 2018. And in a jealous rage, once stumped on her stomach. The allegations barely made a ripple, and Hun went silent after the interview. Hun declined to comment for this article because he possibly paid her off too. Okay, because he definitely had been getting away with it. The Detroit area Jane Doe, who sued Combs and Pierre in December, tells Rolling Stone she hopes her lawsuits will hold not just Combs, but also all of those who acted with him, stood silent, and actively covered up his behavior accountable. In her lawsuit, she said her nightmare was not an isolated incident, and pointed to another Jane Doe who sued Pierre on November 21. That woman alleges Pierre groomed and sexually assaulted her when she was his assistant between 2016 and 2017. Then in early February, Jones, the Love album producer, sued the 73-page complaint filed by lawyer Tyrone Blackburn, which included unusual elements such as photos of the defendant and redacted names that could easily be deciphered, claims that Jones' work traveled and often lived with Combs while producing 9 songs for the project. Jones described his experience as a hedonistic hellscape. He claimed to have hundreds of hours of footage, audio, capturing Combs, his staff, and his guests engaged in serious illegal activity, including the use and distribution of ecstasy, cocaine, ketamine, marijuana, candy, mushrooms, GHB, and Tushi, a pink powder described as a mixture of ecstasy and cocaine. He claimed that at one party in July 2023, Combs fed him ecstasy laced liquor until he blacked out and woke up naked next to a S worker. Jones said Combs terrorized him with constant, unsolicited, and unauthorized groping and touching of his anus, and that Combs kept him complained by displaying weapons, threatening to eat his face, and according to the suit, informing Jones that he was willing to unalive his own mother if he must get what he wants. Combs' lawyer called the complaint pure fiction. He is the monster. He is this monster. Nothing has changed, Jones told Rolling Stone shortly before filing his lawsuit. This guy got no soul. He has no duty to anyone, not even his kids. Combs' associates, meanwhile, have faced allegations of their own. 25-year-old Brenda Paul, who Jones described in his lawsuit as Combs' drug mule, was arrested and charged with cocaine possession during the raids and Combs' properties. Paul pled not guilty, but later accepted a deal in May, agreeing to complete a drug diversion program, after which his case will be dismissed. The deal was offered because Paul is considered a first-time offender, and the fact that they wanted to explain why he got the deal is more reasons to know he got the deal because he's a first time working with them. Okay, so the deal was offered allegedly. The deal was offered because Paul is considered a first-time offender, and the substance amount allegedly found was not of a trafficking level. A spokesperson for the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office said. In early April, yacht steward. Hold on. All right. So in early April, yacht steward Grace O'Mackey sued Combs and his 26-year-old son, Christian, alleging that Christian drugged and attacked her on board a luxury vessel rented for a 22 vacation in St. Martin while filming a since scrapped family reality show for Hulu. According to NBC News, O'Mackey can be heard in an audio recording asking Christian to stop touching her leg. She claims, She claims Christian later tried to force her to perform oral fellatio allegations he denies through his father's lawyer. Christian Combs' lawyer, Aaron Dyer, did not reply to a request for a comment on the allegations, but previously claimed O'Mackey's complaints was rife with manufactured lies and irrelevant factors. And now there's the question that everybody would like to know, which is this the end for Diddy? So on May 4th, Combs posted a video of himself standing by an ocean, staring down a tropical monsoon with his arms outstretched as the record voice of his spiritual advisor, T.D. Jake booms, not hysterical, not frantic, not anxious, not fretful, but steady in the storm. While Combs gathers support where he can, The new allegations have reshaped his world. After stepping down from Revolt, he reportedly sold his shares in March. The Harlem charter school he co-founded reportedly cut ties and scrubbed his name from its website. In April, premium liquor giant Diageo revealed it paid approximately $200 million to buy the outstanding 50% shares of their De Leon tequila brand from Combs, fully dissolving their partnership. In a 2023 court filings, Diageo said that Combs had amassed nearly $1 billion from their 15-year relationship, and the wave of lawsuits reignited industry beef with Combs' longtime rival 50 Cent, who is making a documentary about his downfall. Combs is preparing for a fight for his reputation, his legacy, and in some sense, his life. Okay, federal officials declined to say much after the March raid, but a source confirmed to Rolling Stones that investigations in the Southern District of New York interviewed potential witnesses as part of a trafficking and racketeering probe. Agents may also examine Combs' alleged ties to the infamous Black Mafia family cartel after the Detroit Jane Doe alleged in her suit that the group is rumored to have seeded Bad Boy. No criminal charges have been announced as of this particular publication. As trafficking is certainly a potential component of a pattern of racketeering, or it could be charged on its own. Former federal prosecutor Elizabeth Geddes, a member of the team that successfully prosecuted R. Kelly in New York, tells Rolling Stones the indictment of R. Kelly, Jeffrey Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell, high-profile individual who long evaded real accountability by law enforcement, offer prosecutors a playbook for a possible prosecution of Sean Combs. Combs is known to sport a gold medallion depicting Lazarus, the biblical figure raised from the dead. And why not? He survived the deadly CCYN tragedy, the shooting that killed his top artist and his club New York criminal trial, and prospered. He named an album No Way Out, but he's always managed to find one. This time may be different. As more accusers and associates emerge with hellish accounts of their time with Combs, as more voices hint that there are darker stories still to be uncovered, he stands exposed in a much harsher light to some. His claims that his brutal 2016 attack on Cassie represented a rock bottom from which he has since recovered doesn't ring true. One source who knew the former couple says the Mago rage was always on the verge of creeping out. Rock bottom must be his personality. They say, I've never not seen this person. Misa Hilton, the mother of Combs' first son, Justin, had been silent in the wake of Ventura's lawsuit, but after the video broke, she responded by saying, I know exactly how she feels, and through my empathy, it has triggered my own trauma. Hilton declined to comment for this article. It's a long overdue reckoning, says Anna, whose encounter with Combs at the Peninsula Hotel still haunts her. People have been sitting with their experiences for years because you don't know what to do with it. Gardner's friends wrote in her recent affidavit that she wishes she had spoken up then. Raised hell earlier, she watched her friend grapple with the aftermath. This experience completely changed Liza as a person, she wrote. Dickerson Neal, too, says she was forever changed by a single night. One date with Sean Combs led to the trauma and pain of assault and an ocean depths of shame. She tells Rolling Stones, learning that Combs allegedly distributed an explicit video of her was devastating, and she's suffered debilitating self-doubt and a lifetime of inner turmoil. Those who were watching decades ago have long suspected Combs' legacy would end in disgrace. None of this was really a surprise for me, says one of Howard alums who had knowledge of Combs' attack on a classmate. You're already an abuser in college. You were already feeling you had to have certain power over people. Another says Combs must now face accountability. It's time. In an Instagram post in late May, Ventura expressed gratitude for all the love and support she's received with a lot of hard work. I am better today, she wrote, but she added, echoing the experience of many of Combs' accusers, I will always be recovering from my past. And that is the completion of that Rolling Stones jaw dropping article that just lays out the entire foundation of Diddy's downfall. Okay? This was a damn good read. That's all I can say. I do thank each and every one of you guys that hung through this long live with me. Okay? You guys can always go back and listen to it again. But the reading is here. And the feds have lots of evidence against Diddy. They talked about Biggie. They brought up Tupac. This whole article talked about everything that they could think about that he has ever what they were able to unravel as of now. I still do believe more is to come because other people are still have yet to file their lawsuit or their complaint, according to Gloria Allred. But we have to stay tuned to see how this plays out because now that the grand juror has convened and is listening to testimonies from these witnesses and these these accusers of Diddy's who has made their claims. So now we wait and see what happens. But before I get out of here, I definitely want to shout everybody that was in attendance out. So hang in there for that, which is coming up right now. If you guys have yet to hit the like button, go ahead and hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and hit that bell notification and select all because you don't want to miss us when we come back and bring you guys yet another one. Shout out to Jacqueline was news in here. Already did hit that like button, enjoying his popcorn while he tuned in. Shout out to Grape Tea News. Michelle Saucer said Biggie didn't want no beef with Tupac. No, he did not. Neither one of them wanted beef with each other. They were used, in my opinion, they were used. In my opinion, Diddy is responsible for both of their unlivings, in my opinion, and the setup and the payouts and whatever he did to do it. I hope that more people come out and talk about it and expose it and reveal it and get justice for them as well. Cops let him run around acting like a nuisance. They knew what he was up to. Shout out to Ghost and then 617. Yeah, I would like to agree as well. All enablers should be held accountable. I agree as well, but I do know it. And the ending of this reading, when Elizabeth Aguedes spoke, and she was the prosecutor who prosecuted R. Kelly, Ghislaine Maxwell, and was going to prosecute Jeffrey Epstein. What she said was she has the blueprint to take down these these puffy type of people. Okay, she already laid the foundation out. They already got away with it once. They already know how to combat this, and they are going to use every resource that they have to take down Diddy. Diddy time is almost up. I would be surprised if I end this live or by tomorrow we hear that he was indicted and that he's been detained. Okay, and I just hope they catch him outside where they can get him on camera. And they're going to do all that because they want to humiliate him even more. But yeah, shout out to Spicy is in the building. She said he is sick. Yes, he is very sick. She says he does seem to love his kids from what it appears. Yeah, but I still feel like those kids has been exposed to a little bit too much, and and them kids grew up real fast. And rumor has it that he won't even be attending the graduation, let alone the proms of his daughters, because of all of what's happening. He would be a big distraction. He needs to be under the jail. Yeah, he was sick and he had a lot of sick fetishes, and his fetishes, honestly, to me, it definitely started back in college. Person when he got that popularity for throwing those parties and stuff like that. So that's where it started, and then him just constantly keeping himself in the public's eye for that recognition and that fame and all that. He was going crazy to keep. See, what it is in life is, and what I was told is, everybody get a time to shine. Everybody gets a chance to shine. What you do with your time when you shine is what you do with your time when you shine. Just do right by folks. Don't do wrong by people, so you ain't got to expect this type of uh, karma to come back and collect on you. You know, this could have been good karma. He could have been getting praise like he was getting praise and recognitions at awards. But instead, he decided to be this monster and this evil person and this person that's uh just who he was. He was a devil, honestly, in sheep clothes. But anyway, you just gotta be uh careful when you get your time to shine. Just shine, enjoy your time, shower the love to the ones you want to shower your love to, and keep it pushing. But when you go this length and this extent to stay relevant and popular, he had to take a lot of people out to keep this popularity. So this stuff is not gone unnoticed. Don't think people wasn't seeing what was happening. It's just people was patient, and now it's time that they come in to collect on him. Okay. They reached a verdict in Trump's hush case. Oh, really? I wonder what it is. Give me the word, honey. Give me the word. Um, Time will tell. Shout out to Francisco as well and Dion. And salute to you, my brother. Puff wanted to control Biggie. That's why he didn't want to give Biggie publishing back, and Biggie was coerced to LA when he had a $62 million contract in London waiting for him and his own label. And that jealous of him, and it definitely showed. Well, anyway, you guys leave your comments in the comment section. I do appreciate you guys. That is my time. Don't forget to like this video. If you haven't hit the like button on your way in, please hit the like button on your way out. Leave a comment down below in the comment section. We could definitely talk about it. Those who get the most likes on your comment, I would like to pin your comments so that others can see your comments, okay? And we can have a dialogue down below. Well, anyway, that is my time. Thank y'all again for tuning in to this live to discuss the evidence that they have, and that Puffy, in my opinion, will be going down anytime soon. See you guys on the next one. Piecez.